What does eating in moderation mean, and how much can I eat when I'm eating in moderation? The lighting is good today. Let us thank the gods for this. So if you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll know that I often talk about eating in moderation and that you should have no off-limit foods, that you can have whatever you want in moderation as long as you're eating the right balance of things. And under these videos, I always get comments asking me what I mean by eating in moderation, how many treat foods like you're allowed to have, is there like a certain limit, is it like daily, weekly? So today I'm going to clear everything up with an entire video on eating in moderation and what that means, or at least what I mean by that. So first of all, let's look at what eating in moderation means. Technically, eating in moderation means eating only as much food as your body needs, while also not having any off-limit foods, but eating a nice balance of foods that bring you health and also foods that you enjoy and like nourish your soul. At the end of the meal, you should feel fully satisfied, but not like uncomfortably stuffed or hungry by any means. When I personally think about eating in moderation, what I mean is eating balanced. And by balanced, I mean eating all kinds of foods, healthy foods, less healthy foods, vegetables, fruit, also cookies, treats, whatever, getting all the macronutrients that you need, getting all the vitamins and minerals that you need, and also getting all the pleasure that you need so that you're able to sustain a diet without feeling restriction. So now let's talk a little bit about the importance of balance and eating in moderation. And for me, ideally, eating in moderation, what I consider it to be is to be eating whatever you want, have no off-limit foods, really nothing that you don't allow yourself to eat, but just eating these foods in a moderate amount, so in amounts that aren't gonna dramatically affect the way you eat. And actually, I want to apply moderation to every food, like even foods that are like healthier. You should still be eating these foods in moderation, meaning you should still have room for a bunch of different foods and you shouldn't be eating one type of food all the time. So basically, that's the idea that I mean behind it, is that you can eat everything, you can eat every single type of food, but you should be eating such a wide variety of foods that you're never like eating the same thing. And so again, in an ideal world, moderation would be kind of intuitively, you should be able to like listen to your body and be like, okay, right now I'm craving a donut. I've eaten like a pretty healthy meal, so I can have that donut. It's no big deal. Or like, oh, right now I feel like having this nice fresh salad and I can totally eat that. And then tonight I can have some pizza and that's going to be fine as well. So that would be in an ideal world. But I know that this is hard to do for a lot of people. So I'm going to be giving you some more practical tips to help you actually eat in moderation. Also, in order to be fully at ease with this eating and everything in moderation principle, it's really important that you have a healthy relationship with food. That's one thing that I would recommend you focus on if you're not there already. So I definitely recommend checking out my relationship with food playlist that I have. And also, I'm currently spending so much time creating a course that is basically going to teach you healthy eating from zero to like being an expert at it, basically. And in this course, I walk you through all of the steps. And one of them, of course, is building a healthy relationship with food. It's a very important step. So that course will be coming out maybe in a couple of months. If you feel like you have a lot of fear foods, meaning foods that when you eat them, they trigger feelings of like guilt, shame, like I shouldn't be eating that, and so you avoid these foods. Or if you feel that you are very restrictive with your eating, or if you feel that you eat emotionally a lot. If you do any of these things, I definitely recommend working on your relationship with food. And the thing with the eating in moderation principle is that it isn't entirely a part of intuitive eating, because eating in moderation implies having a certain limit over like certain foods. So you're not going to be eating like donuts all the time every day. Whereas when you're first starting out with intuitive eating, you're going through this phase where you need to give yourself unconditional permission to eat any and all foods. So this moderation principle will not really work with that. So know that they aren't fully compatible, but I wouldn't say that they are incompatible either. You can either decide that intuitive eating is too like free for you, and you would rather turn to like a more mindful approach but also incorporate moderation, or you can decide that you want to like first go through the entire intuitive eating process, so give yourself unconditional permission to eat anything, but then after a while you do want to know kind of what moderation entails. So with that in mind, I now want to address a little bit moderation after restriction. So if you're a person who is used to restricting, moderation may feel a little bit scary to you because it may seem a lot like restricting, because you're still only allowing yourself to have like this limited portioned amount of a certain food. One thing that I would recommend doing is really tuning into the way you feel this moderation and what it means for you in your body. So for instance, usually for most people, when we eat something in moderation, when we eat a good amount of food but not too much, and a good amount of healthy foods, and also a nice enough amount of foods that make us feel good, more like treat foods, then we feel like calm, we feel at peace, we feel comfortable, we feel satisfied, we feel all of these positive feelings, right, when we're eating in moderation. Whereas when we're not eating in moderation, so either we're overeating certain like treat foods, things like that, or we're undereating, again, not eating enough, then we're not feeling at peace, we're not feeling good. We're either feeling extremely stuffed and sick, or we're feeling starving and like unable to focus on anything. So again, moderation is ultimately to help you feel better around food, and it's ultimately something positive. But if you feel like you're not there yet, and again, that's totally fine, you can practice listening to your body, how you feel, and seeing if ultimately moderation is something that you feel that you desire for yourself or not. If not, then no problem. One guideline I really like to use and that I share with my clients is the eat one thing you love every meal rule. And for me, that is a great rule because you're not focusing on like calories or numbers or even like specific portions. It's just about knowing that for every meal there needs to be a little something or a big something that you enjoy. And this is a little bit harder to grasp for some people because a lot of people want to have like precise numbers, but I do think that it's a good thing to keep in mind. So basically every meal that you have, you should really be enjoying it, but sometimes you can't be enjoying your entire meal. It's not possible. Life gets in the way. You're not going to have time to make your perfect healthy meal that you also love every single meal, and that's okay. You need to make sure that there's one thing that you really look forward to. Maybe it's like a little dessert that you like, or maybe it's a starter that you love. Maybe it's like a sauce that you love. I don't know. Anything, it can be anything at all, but you really need to make sure that you have this element in every meal. And that's kind of the thing when I talk about moderation. That's what I mean. Like, you should be incorporating something you like in moderation throughout every meal, and that way you're less likely to then feel like you're restricting, that your healthy eating patterns are unsustainable, and you're less likely to binge. It's a good way to set yourself up for healthy eating in a way that can actually last. Eating in moderation guidelines. The one guideline that I like to follow when it comes to like moderation and balance is the 80-20 rule. So basically this means eating around 80% of foods that are really healthy and really fuel your body, and then 20% of foods that are less healthy and more like treat foods. So if I just take an example to illustrate, this doesn't mean that you have to follow this exactly. Please, it's just an example. So say that you're eating about like 2,000 calories a day. Then if you're following like the 80-20 rule and you're doing that daily, that means that you can have about like 400 calories of foods that are like treat foods, that aren't like the most nourishing, healthy foods. So 400 calories, that can be like a few slices of pizza, depending on the type of pizza. That can be like 2 or 3 cookies. That can be a couple of cans of soda. That can be a small bag of chips. It can be having like a big muffin. It can be lots of things. 400 calories, it's not that much, but it's also, a good enough amount that if you're allowing yourself to eat that every day, of a food that's a little bit more fun, then you're less likely, again, to be frustrated with your diet and to like give up on your diet and then to binge eat or to do any of these things. Now, you don't have to follow the 80-20 rule like every single day. You can totally kind of do it throughout the week, however the days kind of flow. What I wouldn't recommend doing though is having like a big cheat day. Like I know lots of people like to save their like 20% of like unhealthy calories and then save that for their cheat day, and then they just eat super healthy for the entire week, and then on like Saturday they eat whatever they want. I don't really recommend doing that. I made a video on why I don't like cheat days or cheat meals here if you're interested, but basically I just think that that is actually disordered eating. It is restricting and then just binging. It's like glorified binge eating disorder for me personally. I feel that. Now, I do understand that for some people, they feel that it really works and it really enables them to eat like mostly healthy, and technically they're still like doing the 80-20. So again, I'm not saying like don't do it if it works for you, but let's say that if you've never tried it, don't try it, you know? But to me, this all comes down to like the bigger picture of balance and moderation, because if you're having like 6 days a week where you're super careful about your food, like only healthy greens and veggies and things like that, and then one day where you just go all in and eat whatever, then that's not really balanced for me. And finally, an important part of eating in moderation is practicing mindful eating. Again, I addressed this a lot already, and I am going to talk a lot about it in my course as well. But mindful eating is really key to be able to eat in a balanced, healthy way, and to take your time to eat, to focus on what you're eating, and to fully be immersed in the eating experience without being distracted by like the TV or what your 2-year-old is like doing right in front of you. I don't know. And mindful eating really helps you reconnect with your pleasure in eating, and also like the taste of different foods, the flavors, the way you're feeling when you're eating, all of that. And all of that really helps with the whole eating in moderation thing, because another aspect of eating in moderation may be that you're just like wolfing down any type of food that you have in front of you. Like you can't take the time to eat, you can't eat slowly enough to appreciate it. So you can't be in this like moderation system because you're just like shoveling stuff down your throat, you know. So if you're able to eat more mindfully, if you're able to eat more slowly, to take the time to put down your silverware when you eat, to take the time to be fully focused on what you're eating, and to also assess the way you are feeling, assess your hunger levels on the hunger scale. Again, I have a video about that right here if you want to learn more about that. Basically just being really in tune with what you're eating and the way you're feeling, your hunger levels, all of that will definitely help you with this moderation aspect without it being like focusing on numbers and calories and actual portion sizes. It's more focusing on your experience with this moderation. So those are all my tips on learning how to eat in moderation and what I mean by that when I say it. So hopefully you found this helpful, and hopefully you can apply a few things to your way of eating, again, without making it a huge deal, without stressing, without counting everything, because again, the goal is to be relaxed enough around food that you're able to eat mostly healthy, balanced meals, and sometimes have a treat and not have it be the end of the world. That's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like it and subscribe, and see you on my next one. Bye.